One of the things when you sometimes will listen to an atheist speak about religion, is they speak about it in general. They don't really get into the specific reality of one true religion. And a lot of times this is done within what you would call circumspection or circumstances. They'll look at religion and sometimes the evils that kind of arise from it or have been done throughout history. And in this way, there's truth in that. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of times they're avoiding the real articles of faith or the truth claims that are very, I would say, very reasonable or appealing, or correlate with our intellect and our heart in our search for the truth of existence in itself and the whole meaning or the whole purpose of why humanity is in being per se. And I think one of the important parts to understand is what does religion even mean? We have to get down to that fundamental root of the word per se. And I think this will help in understanding some of the bad understandings of some persons who speak about the fact that I'm spiritual but not religious. And when you have that kind of mentality, it kind of opens you up to all kinds of demonic play or false arguments about this and that. So it's kind of really kind of dangerous to some extent. And this is why religion is extraordinarily important, because what it does is it binds you to God. And I'm going to talk about that shortly. And first, I want to explain the fact that there's three terms or Latin terms where the term religion derives its roots. And the first one comes from Cicero. And Cicero speaks about religion as a statesman, and he's kind of just gazing upon religion in a very secular way. And he sees the fact that there's this constant, what you would say, relegere, or the constant rereading of sacred texts within a particular community. And there's a set of beliefs there within it. But he sees religion coming from that term, to reread. And then St. Augustine in the City of God, he mentions the reality of re-elegere, the reality of choosing again after neglect or choosing over and over again. So he sees it in the reality of choosing God each week or choosing God each day per se. But more importantly, in the religious context, choosing God each week, that I'm going to serve God above all things and love him above all things. And then finally, which I think is the best term that kind of describes the understanding of religion, is religare, which is a Latin term which means to bind together. And this is the real truth of the new eternal covenant, which God kind of calls or ushers into being. For Christ binds himself to us through the most holy Eucharist. But more important, when we gaze upon the whole ceremony, religious ceremony of the new eternal covenant, what we have first is the reality of the reading of God's word. So we listen to it and ponder what he says to us, and we think about that with our mind, and we reflect upon it in our hearts. And then also we receive the body, blood, soul, and divinity. So in a real way, we're really in this real communion with God, where he binds himself to us and we are bound to him. And that is the beauty of being both spiritual and religious. You're truly bound to God, who actually has the divine power to save our souls and draw us up into heaven through his divine power, which operates through the sacraments, and which we experience on the level of our soul in a real relational way with the living God who comes to us in the most holy Eucharist.